We are live now, sir.
Yeah. So, dear students, this is Vipul Patil and guidance lecture on zoology part of NEET. We are going to start now. You are aware that zoology chapters are scattered in 11th as well as 12th standard syllabus. You are aware that the syllabus is unit wise and questions contents based on similar ideas, similar concepts are given in the same unit. So the zoology topic in the first unit is on diversity in the living organisms. So in that, the first zoology topic is animal kingdom. Zoology topics in unit 2, that is morphology and anatomy, includes structural organization that you are aware of. Unit 5 is entirely human physiology. So obviously all the chapters of unit 5 are from zoology. So gradually we'll go ahead with the chapters, what to study at the last moment. At the same time, if you are going to revise the chapter one time, what different way you can you can approach in this coming week. You are aware that in chapter 4, animal kingdom, there are lots of examples, and I'm sure you have tried all possible ways of studying various examples, remembering various examples, mnemonics, and different things, different attempts you must have made. That's fine. If you are able to recollect, all these examples, very good. But at the same time, when the question is asked and when the question is based on multiple examples, there is a possibility that some confusion arises. You can use a different approach of remembering and recollecting these examples. For example, what is the count of the total number of examples in this chapter? Well, the question looks very simple, but then remembering the count will help you to remember all examples. If you have noticed in this chapter, there are 99 documented examples, 99, plus 3 additional examples are given in the form of only pictures. I mean, their names are not there in the description. However, their images are given. But the names that are available in this chapter, the printed names, they are 99. So that's why I wrote 99 plus 3. Now, these 3 examples, which are in picture form, they are in arthropoda. The pictorial examples include the example of prawn, the example of scorpion, and the example of butterfly. These 3 are given in the picture form, whereas all other examples are documented either in the examples or even in the description. Why numbers are important? Because if you know the number of examples in a particular phylum, it will be easier to recollect. For example, Mammalia alone has 14 examples, 14. So when we have to recollect the number of examples, obviously, you know that there are 14 examples. So when you recollect, you will not miss any. If you check phylum wise, you will find that in Porifera, there are 3 examples. In Nidaria, there are 8. In Ctenophora, there are 2. Platyhelminthes, Esculmenthes, Annelida, 3 each. If you go counting the examples like this, by the time you reach hemichordata, the total number will be 45. Okay, you can find the other examples from arthropoda onwards. And the tally will become 45. So out of 99, 45 examples are from non-chordates. 54 examples, remaining 54 examples are from chordates. That includes 3 examples of urochordata, 1 example of cephalochordata. Right now, I'm not mentioning any example because you know it. Come on, when we say 3 examples of urochordata, we mean it is Acidia, Salpa, and Doliolum. 1 example of cephalochordata is Amphioxus, that is branchiostoma. So 3 examples of urochordata, 1 example of cephalochordata, then 2 examples of Agnatha, then 5 examples of chondric thighs, 7 example of ostic thighs. See, this is how you have to progress with the examples. Then you can go ahead with amphibia, reptilia, aves, and mammalia. I mentioned that there are 14 examples. This tally will be 54. So as there are 7 examples given in the ostic thighs, bony fish, recollect those 7 examples. You will not miss out any. Also, when you solve any problem, any questions that are based on list of examples, you have to be careful. Now, 99 plus 3, these many examples are given. So it's quite possible that in some questions, 15 examples are given, 20 examples are given, and out of 20 examples, you have to find out which animals are coelomates, or which of the following animals are vertebrates, which of the following animals have persistent notochord, something like that. So in that case, from the list of examples, you will have to find out the exact answer. For example, a question like this. In 102, the question is, how many of the following animals respire with gills? Now, in this, you must know that the respiration by gills, as far as vertebrates are concerned, it is applicable to fish. So in this list, identify which animals are fish, and accordingly we can answer the question. Similarly, a question like this, how many of the following animals have air bladder? Now, air bladder is applicable to bony fish only. So from the list, you have to separate out only bony fish. So a question like this, 102, and a question like this, 105, it is important that you should know all the examples. At the same time, you should know their correct classification as well. So this is how we can study and we can solve the questions. Coming back to this, also try to sort out those examples which start with C. So C, fan, C, pen, C, urchin, okay, C, cucumber, and so on. Seahorse. Now in this, only seahorse is a chordate. The other 4 which you see are non-chordates. Also, you can think of the examples which end with fish. Example like devil fish, dog fish, hag fish, star fish, cuttle fish. We can have different approach of studying various examples, and then that will also help us to understand the examples better. So remembering example will not be a problem, but you have to ask yourself all possible questions, that in what way the questions can be asked. In this chapter, otherwise, the concepts include the concepts of coelom, symmetry, of course, presence or absence of notochord. In that, we talk about the cartilaginous rod-like structure present in the backside. See, the main classification of animals is based on presence or absence of notochord. Then, one more important point to understand in this chapter is you must remember and study the phyla in a sequence, because when you study them in a sequence, the changes that are observed in the characteristics will be gradual. So we mentioned that the phylum which is triploblastic but acoelomate, then we give the answer as platyhelminthes. Triploblastic but pseudocoelomate, then in that case the answer will be ascalmenthes. Triploblastic and coelomate, then it is going to be Annelida onwards all. So this is the way we can do it. Metamerism is applicable to only three phyla: Annelida, Arthropoda, and Chordata. Annelida, Arthropoda, and Chordata. Also, we talk about circulation, open and closed circulation as given over here. Open circulation is primitive, closed circulation is advanced, but still one non-chordate phylum shows closed circulation, and the answer for that is Annelida. One more important aspect of this chapter is the examples which are given in this chapter can be asked with reference to human physiology. For example, what are the respiratory structures in human? What are the respiratory structures in other animals? Excretory structures in human and excretory structure in other animals. For example, when we study excretory products and elimination chapter, there we mention about flame cells. There one more example is given which is not mentioned here, and that example is of rotifers. Rotifers belong to minor phyla. Rotifers belong to minor phyla, and the characteristics of the rotifers are similar to ascalmenthes, but they are very small, they are very tiny. So many a times this chapter can be combined, the contents from this chapter, examples from this chapter can be combined with any one of the chapters of human physiology. So be careful. Also, there a general word may be used. You are supposed to know the scientific name as well. And then you see the examples start. One of the key features of echinodermata is mentioned in this, that in echinodermata, radial symmetry is observed in adults, whereas bilateral symmetry is observed in the larval stage. If larval stage is present, it is indirect development. If larval stage is absent, it is direct development. Picture-based questions are asked. The diagram-based questions are asked. This diagram is given, and then we have to identify that this is a cycon. If this diagram is given, then the example is spongilla. If this diagram is given, the example is euspongia. For each phylum, you must remember a keyword which is not applicable to any other phylum. For example, when you are describing porifera, these terms, these unique terms will come, such as spongiocele, osculum, choanocytes, water canal system. Okay, purposely I avoided the use of the word ostia, because ostia term is also applicable to apertures in the heart of cockroach. But then spongiocele is unique to sponge. Osculum, the larger aperture for exit in sponge, is also unique. Choanocytes, commonly called collar cells, unique to sponges. presence of spicules, spongin fibers unique to the sponges, to make sure that with one keyword you can easily identify which phylum we are talking about. So important, spicules, immediately what will come in your mind? Porifera. Pori means what? Pores. Fera means bearing, having. Seal is cavity. Spongocele, seal in the cavity of sponge. Osculum, larger aperture. When you talk about certain term like collar cell, try to also recollect where else word collar you have heard. You have heard collar even in hemichordata. And why that? We also mention collar when we study the structure of bacterial virus. The bacteriophage is a virus that infects bacterium, and in the structure of bacterium also you get a term called collar. Okay, so if it is a keyword, it is quite possible that it is unique to a particular phylum, or if not, you can get it at some other places as well. What will you remember in Cylindrita? Metagenesis, polyp medusa, metagenesis, polyp medusa, hypostome, mouth is present on the hypostome. So these are some keywords applicable to Cylindrita. Presence of nidoblasts, having nematocyst. Then in Ctenophora, comb plates, 8 comb plates, very prominent feature. No other phylum has it. Platyhelminthes, the flat worm, dorso-ventrally flattened body. This example is of tapeworm. This is liver fluke. Both are parasites. Tapeworm has segments, but these are not true segments. These are pseudo-segmented. This is pseudo-segmented animal. Then a very frequently known fact about the sexual dimorphism in Ascaris, that male Ascaris is smaller than female Ascaris and a very sharply curved tail, whereas here no such curve on the tail of female. Then this is Neris. This is Hirudinaria. Hirudinaria is leech. These two belong to Annelida. These two belong to, the male female of Ascaris. Ascaris belongs to Ascalmenthus. And I already mentioned that there are 3 examples in Ascalmenthus, 3 examples in Annelida, 3 examples in Planaria. So once you know the number, you can recollect it. These 3 examples I was talking about. I was talking about the scorpion, butterfly, and the prawn. These are not given in written form as such, although in the diagram you will see it. Whereas other examples are all documented. Scientific name as well as the common name is expected. So study the examples very carefully, and then you will be able to solve any question that is based on this. 8 examples you will find in mollusca. Check apple snail is pila, aplysia is sea hare. I already mentioned that you make a list of the animals starting with C. So sea hare, sea pen, sea fan, sea anemone, and so on. And then it's quite possible that you may have a list of sea pen and maybe all other examples, and you have to find out how many of these belong to a particular category, how many of these organisms they have a particular character. And as I mentioned, for hemichordata, you will find the word collar. So the animals in which the term collar is applicable includes the balanoglossus, saccoglossus, and collar cells of sponges. Hemichordates literally means half chordates because they have pharyngeal gills. They don't have notochord, but they have pharyngeal gills. After notochord, the next prominent feature of chordates is pharyngeal gills. They have it, but notochord is not present, so we don't consider hemichordates as chordates. But they have second important character in them, which is belonging to chordata. So we call them half chordate. You have to be very careful in this part because confusion may arise in this. First of all, proto means first or primitive. So protochordates are primitive chordates. And in protochordates, we include cephalochordata and urochordata, where uro means tail, notochord in the tail of larva, and cephalo means head. Notochord is present from head to tail. Ascidia is the example of urochordate, whereas branchiostoma is the example of cephalochordate. The point to be noted over here is this point. Notochord it extends from head to tail region and is persistent throughout the life. Means larva has it and adult also maintains it. That's the meaning of this. Persistent means the one that remains. And these are the examples: Ascidia, Salpa, Doliolum. Other name is also given. Urochordata is called tunicata because this is the animal body covered by a covering called test. Test is a covering, and this is made up of a chemical compound tunicin. Name of the chemical compound tunicin. That's why we call it tunicates or tunicata. Have a look. In hemichordata, proboscis is the anterior-most part. Collar and trunk are the three parts. Proboscis has proboscis gland. Proboscis gland for excretion. Now this point can be merged with the contents from excretory products. That is what I was mentioning here. Then see, this point to remember in cyclostomata is they are devoid of scales and paired fins. Paired fins means pectoral and pelvic. A pair of pectoral fins and a pair of pelvic fins. They are present in the fish, but not in ergnathans. Ergnatha, jaws absent, mouth circular, cyclostomata. Understand the keywords. This point is also unique. Their larvae, after metamorphosis, return to the ocean because adults first go to fresh water for spawning, for egg laying. After spawning is over, the larvae hatch out, and then these larvae will go back to their original habitat. Original habitat of the cyclostomata is ocean. Okay, only for spawning they go to fresh water. Petromyzon is lamprey. Mixin is a hagfish, as you can see. One more example that ends in a fish. And the Pisces or pieces includes two classes, chondric thighs and ostic thighs. You know, in this, ichthyes means fish. The chondric thighs is cartilaginous fish and ostic thighs is bony fish. As I said, 5 examples of chondric thighs and 7 examples of ostic thighs. These both are ostic thighs. These two are chondric thighs. This is sawfish. Again, you see the name ending with the fish, and this is dogfish. Sawfish, because see the snout is like a saw of a carpenter. And this is called dogfish because of its acute sense of smell. These are amphibians. The salamander is a tailed amphibian. Frog is a tailless amphibian. Reptiles have skin without any glands, no glands on the skin. Exoskeleton is very hard, made up of very hard scales called scutes. That is applicable to reptiles. The chameleon, the crocodile, the turtle, and the cobra are the examples. Naja is the scientific name of cobra. Kilon is turtle. Crocodilus is crocodile, and chameleon. You see, this type of tail means the tail can be coiled around the branches as well. This is called prehensile tail. This is prehensile tail. And you can see plenty of examples in birds as well, as many as 7 examples. And then 14 examples of the mammalia. Okay. Even the chart gives you some brief summary of the chapter. Also, make sure that no point from the textbook is skipped. It is very important that you stick to the NCERT textbook. No need to read any extra stuff. Read everything from the chapter. Read everything from the summary as well. Questions can be framed using the questions given in exercise. Very important. So although they appear as descriptive questions, you make sure that you know the answer of that question. It is quite possible that the question can be framed using the question given in the exercise. Although these questions are not MCQs, it is possible that the MCQ can be framed using this content. So make sure that every question given in the exercise, you know. Every answer for the question given in the exercise, you know. All right. So this is about the animal kingdom. Well, as I said, this chapter can be included along with the human physiology chapters as well when making the questions. And one such question I have shown earlier as well. So here, if you have to identify which animals respire with the gills, we can include catla, great white shark, rohu, magur. We can then include seahorse, stingray, sawfish. And you can see the number of markings are 7. Answer is 1, something like that. Similarly, how many of the following animals have air bladder? In this, we have to include only osteichthyes, the bony fish. So Exocetus will come. Okay. Labio will come. Clarias will come. Betta will come. These are 4 examples. Okay. Prominent terminology is given in the question, and we have to identify this particular terminology is applicable to how many examples. So yes, such questions can also be expected in the NEET examination. And now we can go ahead with the next, and that next zoology topic is structural organization. Structural organization in animals. Now in this, we include animal tissues, cockroach, and frog. Animal tissues is supposed to be a very important, basic, and foundation chapter of your syllabus, because we mentioned about 4 types of animal tissues in this. The epithelial tissue, the connective tissue, the muscular tissue, and the neural tissue. Simple epithelium, compound epithelium. Simple is 1 layer, compound is multiple layer. Diagram based questions are important. Every diagram has to be properly interpreted. For example, this diagram is given. Maybe they will hide the labeling and we will have to identify what is A, B, C, D in the above diagram. So same diagram is used. Even the labeling markings location is also very similar. You can easily find out. You can easily find out which are the labelings for that particular diagram. Or either of the two, either this diagram or this diagram may be given. So here you see the arrangement of fiber is uniform. So this will be regular. But here the arrangement of fiber is not uniform. So this is going to be dense irregular. This is dense regular and this is dense irregular. Examples are needed. As you can see, adipose tissue is mainly present beneath the skin, and dense irregular tissue, check, dense irregular tissue is present in the skin. So see, beneath the skin, which is mentioned for adipose tissue, and in the skin. Understand, if the question is in the skin, you can go ahead with dense irregular. And if the question is the tissue present beneath the skin, then you should go ahead with adipose. Adipose means fat. So even the terms used, the adjectives, adverbs, whatever terms are given in the textbook, you have to make sure that you understand the questions based on this. So in the skin and beneath the skin, very little difference, but yes, it exists. And on the basis of that, you have to mark the correct answer. Nothing much is given in cartilage and bone, but basic differences that cartilage is pliable, bone is non-pliable. Cartilage matrix is not as hard as bone matrix. Okay. Now the bone matrix contains calcium, but then the relationship between bone and calcium is given better in skeleton. It is also given better in chemical coordination and integration chapter. So see, a paragraph for cartilage and a paragraph for bone, blood is only mentioned here because blood is explained in detail in one of the chapters of human physiology. Muscular tissue also limited information. 3 types of muscles: the striated muscles, the non-striated muscles, and the cardiac muscles. Keyword for cardiac muscle will be intercalated discs. Also communication junctions. At the end of epithelial tissue, cell junctions are given. So the junction may be cell to cell junction or cell to basement membrane junction. Both types of junctions exist. Some junctions are only for attachment. Some junctions are for transport of materials. And some junctions prevent leakage. So adhering, gap, and tight junctions respectively. Here, in smooth muscles, cell junctions are mentioned. In cardiac muscles, communication junctions are given. Please note that at the end of the epithelial tissue, already 3 types of cell junctions are mentioned. And the cell junctions are also mentioned in the smooth muscles as well as in the cardiac muscles. Hardly anything is given about neural tissue in detail. You can see, point you must remember is this, that neuroglial cells make up more than 1/2 the volume of the neural tissue. That means the major part of the neural tissue is neuroglia, okay, and the remaining part will be neurons. A neuron, it's same as nerve cell. It's same as nerve fiber. Check, neuron, nerve cell, nerve fiber. Neuron, nerve cell, and nerve fiber means the same. And the word nerve is different. Nerve is a group of neurons, bunch of neurons. So when you say neuron, nerve cell, nerve fiber, you are talking about individual cell. You are talking about one cell. But when you say nerve, it's a bunch, it's a group of cells. And then see, when a neuron is suitably stimulated, an electrical disturbance is generated which swiftly travels along the plasma membrane. Now, what is given? Statement-based questions are asked. Along, instead of plasma membrane, cytoplasm may be given. That is wrong. Cytoplasm is given. That is wrong. Cell wall is given. That is wrong. Animal cells don't have cell wall. So please understand, when you talk about the statement-based questions, a slight change in the statement will make that statement wrong. Instead of cell membrane, if the statement is about cell wall, obviously it is not applicable. Cell wall is not present in human, and neural system is not present in plants. And then organ and organ system. Here we mention about morphology and anatomy. Check these definitions carefully. Morphology refers to study of forms or externally visible features. Whereas anatomy conventionally is used for study of morphology of internal organs. Also, very important line, each organ in our body is made up of one or more types of tissues. For example, our heart consists of all 4 types of tissues. Means major tissue of the heart is muscles, of course, but then the lining, inner lining and outer lining of the heart is epithelial. Okay, then there is connective tissue as well in the form of fibers. Blood is also connective tissue. Okay, nerve supply, heart is supplied with sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So obviously heart has all 4 tissues in it. Earthworm is not there in the syllabus. Cockroach, and see the diagram. This is pronotum. Pronotum is the sclerite, means tergite of the prothorax. This is pro, this is meso, and this is meta. 4 wings are called tegmina. Please understand the keywords. Diagram-based question can be asked. For example, tegmina word is given in the diagram. Pronotum is given in the diagram, not in description. So it's quite possible that the question can be framed. Giving this name, using this name. Pronotum belongs to prothorax. Second segment of thorax, mesothorax. Third segment, metathorax. Tegmina arises from mesothorax, so it is mesothoracic. And hind wings arise from metathorax, so this is metathoracic wing. Tegmina is only for protection, whereas hind wings are for actual flying. Okay, so understand the diagram very carefully. Diagrams of mouth parts. This can be, labeling can be removed, and we have to identify what is A and what is B. So the part present at the tip will be incising region, and the part behind will be grinding. Okay, this diagram can be asked, and this labeling is hidden. We have to identify what is A, B, C, D in the diagram, something like this. Check. Other name of gizzard, proventriculus, because midgut is ventriculus. Sorry. Gizzard is present before ventriculus, so it is called proventriculus. Also, crop and gizzard. You will find crop and gizzard in cockroach, and you will find crop and gizzard in birds also. Crop for storing the food, gizzard is for grinding. So this diagram is for digestive system. Again, diagram based questions can be asked. This diagram is for circulatory system. Circulation is open. Blood is colorless. Circulation is open. Blood is colorless. Such terms will be applicable to this. 13 chambers of the heart muscles. The heart chambers, 13 chambers of the heart. Heart chambers are supported by alary muscles. Alary muscles are in 12 pairs, but then chambers are 13. Check, this is nervous system. Nervous system of cockroach has nerve ring in the head. This is nerve ring found in the head, and through nerve ring passes the esophagus. And this is nerve cord with 3 thoracic ganglia and 6 abdominal ganglia. Please check. 3 thoracic and 6 abdominal ganglia. This is visible in this diagram. Of course, such a diagram is not given in the textbook. Sometimes, therefore, it is difficult to understand how exactly the 3 thoracic and 6 abdominal ganglia are located. You see, this is nerve ring. This part is supraesophageal ganglia. This is its brain. The reproductive system of cockroach. Here you will see male gonapophysis, and here you will see female gonapophysis. Female gonapophysis is more or less uniform, but male gonapophysis is highly irregular. You see, the phallomeres, the titillators, the pseudopenins, they all are different. This part is mushroom-shaped gland, which has small tubules and long tubules. This is mushroom-shaped or uricose gland. The gland behind mushroom-shaped gland is phallic gland. This is phallic gland. In females, you can see a pair of ovaries. Each ovary is with 8 ovarioles, out of which 5 are visible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 will be on the other side. 8 ovarioles, then a pair of oviducts, and then a common oviduct called vagina, which opens into this genital pouch. Upper part of genital pouch is called genital chamber, and the lower part of genital pouch is called vestibulum. Presence of spermatheca, segment number 6, very important. Development in cockroaches, porometabolous. Porometabolous means kind of incomplete development. Incomplete development will be seen along with nymph. Though nymph is wingless form, the term nymph is not applicable to butterflies. Their way of development is different. The way of development for cockroach is different. Frog, being a chordate, being a vertebrate, you can always compare the systems of frog with human. You can also expect a question where cockroach, frog, and human systems are compared. It's quite possible that something from human reproduction and some topics from this chapter can be taken into consideration. Take an example of reproductive system of male cockroach, male frog, and male human. For example, in cockroach, there are vasa deferentia. In frog, vasa efferentia. Human has both vasa efferentia as well as vasa deferentia. Understand, this is for human. This is for frog only. And this is for cockroach only. See how I compared the cockroach with frog and human with one character. Also, ureter of frog is urinogenital duct, whereas urethra of human is urinogenital duct. In human beings, it is urethra, which is called urinogenital duct. And in frog, it is the ureter, which is called urinogenital duct. Always, it will be better when you compare the two organisms and study. So you compare cockroach and frog, frog and human, cockroach and human, like that. Try to correlate the characters, whether one animal has one character, but the same character is not present in the other animal. For example, what is mentioned here about the here you can see eyes. They have behind the eyes there is tympanum, which is part of ear that receives sound signals. Check again, diagram based question. This is heart, this is liver, these are lungs, these are fat bodies. Fat bodies will store fats before winter sleep and summer sleep, because in winter sleep and in summer sleep the frog will be inactive, and during that time fat bodies will provide nourishment. This is the pair of kidneys, these are ureters, this is urinary bladder, this chamber is called cloaca, and the aperture is called cloacal aperture. Important terms in circulatory system will be sinus venosus and conus arteriosus. Sinus venosus on the dorsal side and conus arteriosus is present on the ventral side of the heart. Heart is three-chambered. Is that clear? You can see presence of Bidder's canal along the inner wall of the frog's kidney is a characteristic feature. Our kidney does not have Bidder's canal. Bidder's canal is present only in frog's kidney. Also, sperms travel through kidney in frogs, whereas eggs will not be going through the kidneys. Eggs are carried by oviducts, whereas sperms will travel through the kidneys. So this is Bidder's canal. These are all transverse canals. And then this vertical canal goes out as ureter, which is urinogenital duct. As you can see, ovaries and kidneys, they are very close to each other, but no functional contact. And then you see the economic importance as well, ecological as well as economic importance. Again, make sure that all the points in the summary are also known to you. And as usual, you can check the exercise questions. Don't skip exercise questions. Till now, if you have not done, go through these exercise questions in this last week. Ensure that every question given in the exercise, the answer is known to you. Of course, from this, you can skip the questions of earthworm, but otherwise, the remaining questions you can always attempt. Okay, and now we can go ahead with human physiology. In human physiology, the topic you should understand is it will start from the breathing and exchange of gases. In the breathing and exchange of gases, you need to know perfectly about the pulmonary volumes and capacities. Very, very frequently asked question is this. Have a look. What I have written is 4 volumes. Many a times, questions have been asked on these 4 volumes. And then you combine the volumes. As soon as you combine the volumes, obviously, you will get the capacities. Now in this, all the values should be known to you, such as value of TV, value of IRV, value of ERV, and the value of RV as well. And then we make various combinations. That if you talk about this is IC, this is EC, this is VC. No? Now, now you know it. IC, inspiratory capacity, EC, expiratory capacity, TV is tidal volume, IRV and ERV, inspiratory and expiratory reserve volume. Then ERV plus RV, this is FRC, functional residual capacity. And when you calculate all 4, it is going to be total lung capacity. So in chapter 14, this part is very, very important. Also, the confusion may arise in the muscles which are involved in breathing. So here muscles given are diaphragm muscles and external intercostal muscles. When both contract, inspiration takes place. Along with external intercostal muscles, internal intercostal muscles also word you may find. Now, external and internal intercostal muscles both will regulate the volume of the lungs. Confusion arises whether antero-posterior and dorsoventral is same here. Here, in this topic, it is not same. For example, when diaphragm contracts, the thoracic volume is increased antero-posteriorly. Whereas when external intercostal muscles contract, the sternum is pulled outward, and here the thoracic cavity is increased dorsoventrally. Please understand, when diaphragm muscles contract, the thoracic volume increases antero-posteriorly. And when external intercostal muscles contract, sternum is pulled outward, the volume will increase dorsoventrally. Also, one more important topic in this is the graph of oxygen dissociation, and it is something like this, where on y-axis there is percentage saturation with hemoglobin, and on x-axis the partial pressure of oxygen. Carefully see this diagram. The initial half, this particular half, right half, is applicable to alveoli of lungs, whereas later half is applicable to tissues. Here you must remember factors which are in favor of formation of oxyhemoglobin and breakdown of oxyhemoglobin. See, oxygen dissociation means breakdown of oxyhemoglobin, and this occurs near tissues. Whereas oxyhemoglobin formation, that will occur in the lungs. Factors responsible for this, factors responsible for formation of oxyhemoglobin is high PO2 level and low levels of PCO2, H plus ion concentration and temperature. These conditions prevail or these conditions exist in alveoli, whereas in tissues, conditions are opposite. As the partial pressure of oxygen is low, other three are high. Check. Also, low H plus ion concentration means the hydrogen ion concentration is less. So when hydrogen ion concentration is less, pH is high. Whereas when hydrogen ion concentration is more, pH is low. pH low means acidic, pH high, basic. Also, ensure that even these things are known to you in oxygen dissociation curve. Very important topic. Then in circulation, the important topic is blood groups. And in blood groups, we have to mention two categories. One is ABO system and the other one is RH system. Because of ABO, we are able to differentiate blood group as A, B, AB and O. Whereas with RH, we can understand whether it is positive or negative. Also in RH system, the concept of erythroblastosis fetalis. Erythroblastosis fetalis. This condition will develop in the fetus when mother is RH negative and father is RH positive. And this problem will arise in their second pregnancy onwards. There is no problem in the first pregnancy. First child will be delivered normal. The problem will arise in the next delivery. Okay, here, the concept of antigen, antibody complex will be involved. Antigen, antibody of the same type react, and that will cause agglutination. If antigen and antibody belong to same type, it will cause agglutination. So RH antigen, RH antibody will react and that will cause agglutination in the blood of the fetus, second fetus. So second fetus dies because of the problem called erythroblastosis fetalis. So in the body fluids, blood groups topic is important. Then in the same chapter, cardiac cycle is also important. What happens in cardiac cycle? Atrial systole, ventricular systole, and joint diastole. Atrial systole takes only 0.1 seconds. See, I've divided this whole into 8 blocks. It will take only 0.1 second to contract, atrial systole. And ventricular systole will take 0.3 seconds to contract. Next 0.3 seconds. Carefully see this image which I am showing. Ventricles will contract and the time taken for contraction of ventricle will be 0.3 seconds. See the blocks I'm shading. So only for 0.1 second the atria contract. That means for remaining 0.7 seconds atria in the mode of relaxation. Whereas 0.3 seconds is ventricular systole. So remaining 0.5, these 4 and the next one, 0.5 will be ventricular diastole. Ventricular diastole and atrial diastole, they have not given. What we study is only this part. We study only joint diastole. Joint diastole means a diastole where both chambers, atria as well as ventricles, are in the relaxed mode. You can't count this because your atria are relaxed but ventricles are not. You can't count this because atria are contracted, only ventricles are relaxed. So you can't count. So isn't it, this is the same, this is the part which where both atria, ventricles are relaxed. That's why it is called joint diastole, and the value of joint diastole is 0.4 seconds. So this total will come around 0.8 seconds. Okay, so cardiac cycle start with joint diastole. Joint diastole, tricuspid and bicuspid valves are open only. So blood that is received by atria will immediately enter into the ventricles as the valves are open. And when the ventricles contract, the tricuspid and bicuspid valves get closed. So blood cannot go back. The blood will enter into pulmonary aorta and systemic aorta. Then there we also mention about lub and dub sound. Lub dub sound. That is due to closure of the valves. Lub sound is due to closure of tricuspid and bicuspid valves, and dub sound is due to closure of semilunar valves. In disorders also you have to be careful. Okay, atherosclerosis is deposition of plaques, cholesterol on the walls of the arteries. And if this happens in the coronary artery, we call it coronary artery disease. If that is the case, heart muscles do not get enough oxygen, nourishment, and that will result in necrosis, death of the muscles. So atherosclerosis means blockages. CAD, same again, coronary artery disease. And if it is not cured, then it is quite possible that the person will develop myocardial infarction. Myocardial infarction means heart attack. And heart attack and heart failure are different things. Heart failure is weak heartbeats. Strength is less. When strength is less blood is pumped out. Okay, that is heart failure. Whereas myocardial infarction is heart attack. Again, heart attack is different from cardiac arrest. In cardiac arrest, the heart beats stop suddenly. And if in a certain time, if the person does not get medical help, it is quite possible that the person will die. So these are the unique topics in chapter body fluids. Next is counter current mechanism. Next chapter is excretory products, where we study counter current mechanism, where we study mechanism of kidney functions. You must know it properly. For example, in counter current mechanism, mention role of loop of Henle. Then role of vasa recta and loop of Henle. They are the tubes which are parallel to each other. Whereas where Henle's loop contains the filtrate and vasa recta contains the blood. What is important? What is the main outcome of counter current mechanism? The high level of osmolarity, where in medullary interstitium, interstitium means interstitial fluid. Interstitial fluid is nothing but lymph. And high osmolarity in the medullary interstitium is because of sodium chloride and urea. the movement of both of them, sodium chloride and urea, will be carried out because of counter current mechanism. And the kidney functions. There we mention role of ADH, followed by renin angiotensin aldosterone system and atrial natriuretic factor. They all influence kidney. ADH comes from hypothalamus. Renin comes from juxtaglomerular cells and ANF comes from wall of atria. ADH is mainly related to water reabsorption. However, it can also control water as well as electrolyte reabsorption. Renin angiotensin aldosterone system. Here, angiotensin 2 is a vasoconstrictor and stimulates adrenal cortex to release aldosterone. And aldosterone controls sodium level and water level of the body fluids. Check. You should know the correct origin of the hormone and then the effects. Whereas ANF will check renin angiotensin aldosterone system, means ANF is going to be opposite. Full form of ANF is atrial natriuretic factor. And here natriuresis means loss of sodium ions through urine. That's why it is called natriuresis. Sodium is natrium. Then you should know the exact bone distribution properly in the adults, 206 bones. Series carefully. Axial skeleton, 80 bones. And appendicular skeleton, 126. Total will be 206. 80 bones of axial skeleton.
Hello, sir. Sorry for the interruption. The meeting got ended automatically.
So we'll start now, no?
Yes, sir. We can start again.
Yeah.
We can start from where you left.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. So we were describing the divisions of the axial skeleton. 29 bones in the head. The confusion arises, how many bones in the skull? It is mentioned that there are 22 bones in the skull. At the same time, there is a statement in the book that hyoid is also considered in the skull. But then hyoid is counted separately. If skull bones are asked, you have to mention 22 bones of the skull, 6 bones of ear ossicles, and single separate hyoid connected to the skull That will make the total tally of 29 bones of the head. 29 bones of the head, which includes 22 bones of the skull, 6 ossicles and 1 hyoid. Vertebral column 26. Sternum 1. Ribs 24, that is 12 pairs. For ribs, we use the term bicephalic, means on dorsal side of rib, dorsal, the side of the rib which is connected to vertebral column has 2 heads. That's why bicephalic. Also, in the skull, you will find the term that human skull is dicondylic. Again, di means 2 and condyles are occipital condyles. These condyles are present one on each side of foramen magnum. Foramen magnum word is given in frog skull. It is not mentioned in the chapter of locomotion, but foramen magnum term is also applicable to. So foramen magnum is the aperture through which medulla oblongata passes out at spinal cord, and on each side of foramen magnum there are occipital condyles, one each. That's why these terms are very important. For ribs, the word bicephalic, and for the skull, the term dicondylic. Understand, dicondylic because of 2 occipital condyles, and bicephalic rib is because there are 2 heads. Then in appendicular skeleton, we include girdles and limb bones. Girdle bones are 6, limb bones are 120. 6 bones of girdle are distinguished as pectoral girdle, 4 bones, pelvic girdle 2, and limb bones, 60 bones of upper limb and 60 bones of lower limb, means 30 plus 30. The division of the bones you must know and you must remember the names properly. So do this part very well from locomotion and movement. And one more important topic in this is muscle contraction. There, the structure of actin myosin is important. The components of actin, components of myosin are important. So you should know what is G actin, F actin, tropomyosin and troponin. Whereas in myosin, you should know what is HMM, LMM, heavy meromyosin and light meromyosin, which are the components of meromyosins. In heavy meromyosin, we include head and short arm. Together, head and short arm will combine with actin to form a cross arm. Whereas LMM is the tail part. Also, during muscle contraction, very important, length of the actin myosin does not change. Length of the filament does not change. Length of actin and myosin filaments does not change. Then actin slides over myosin. Myosin remains as it is. Only actin slides over myosin. I band reduced. H zone disappears. Sarcomere shortens, but no change in A band. Very important things you should know, that what exactly happens during muscle contraction. Length of actin myosin filaments, no change. Length doesn't change. Length of the filament remains as it is. Actin filaments slide over myosin and not myosin slide. Myosin remain fixed. I band reduced. H zone disappears. Sarcomere shortens and no change in the A band. Now sarcomere shortens means myofibril will shorten and muscle fiber will shorten. I repeat, actin and myosin filaments do not shorten. So check even this part, very important. In muscle contraction, you must know role of calcium ions, which come from sarcoplasmic cisternae. Cisterna. Cisternae means flat sacs. Cisternae are flat sacs, and the word cisternae is applicable to ER as well as Golgi complex, both. Endoplasmic reticulum as well as Golgi complex, both. They have cisternae, whereas as far as calcium storage is concerned, they are the cisternae of ER. So in muscle contraction, even this part is very, very important. Check the diagram also. That is important as well. Then mechanism of conduction of nerve impulse, a very important topic that you must know. So there we mention the sequence, like the stimulus arrives, sodium ion channels open, influx of sodium, very important, which causes depolarization. Depolarization means nerve impulse is generated. Nerve impulse is generated, that is depolarization. Then what? It happens, nerve impulse is generated at site A. Then what? The current flows from A to B inside and B to A outside. Then what will happen at site B? Sodium ion channels open. And what will happen at site A? K plus ion channels open. So what will happen at site B? Influx of sodium. And what will happen at site A? Efflux of potassium. So because of efflux of potassium, what happens? The site A is repolarized. Very important. Site A is repolarized. So be careful. Depolarization is because of influx of sodium ions, and repolarization is because of efflux of K plus ions. But as sodium ions came in and potassium ions went out, what should happen next? Next should be sodium potassium pump. And this sodium potassium pump will restore normal resting potential. Check the sequence, very, very important. Nerve impulse conduction. Nerve impulse conduction along the synapses, that way relatively easy, but generation and conduction of nerve impulse in the axon, in the neuron, is very important. So make sure that you revise this topic very well. These steps will help you to understand the depolarization and repolarization of the neuron. And then the hormones. For all hormones, you must know the origin of the hormone, means from where it came. You must know target of the hormone and obviously the functions. Origin is almost known because in a particular gland, specific hormones are given. Target you can always determine by looking at the functions, because based on the functions we can determine the target. For example, if one of the functions of any one hormone is formation of RBC, then target will be red bone marrow, because red bone marrow is a place where RBC production occurs. If you make a list of hormones, even here you make a list of hormones, and it is better to do it in a table form, you will find 4 hormones are given in hypothalamus. These are GnRH, somatostatin, oxytocin, and ADH. Please understand, 4 hormones are given whose source is hypothalamus. Then 7 hormones are given in pituitary gland. 1 hormone is given in pineal gland. 3 hormones are given in thyroid gland. Mention their origin, mention their target. If direct target is not given, check the role, the functions of the hormone, and then write the target. So if you go ahead like this, you will find about 32 hormones explained in this chapter. If you consider testosterone coming from adrenal cortex and testosterone coming from the testes separately, then it will be 33. The hormone, its origin and its target will be based on the function they perform. You will find one function carried out by many hormones. For example, RBC production is given in thyroxine. RBC production function is given in cortisol, and RBC function production is also given in erythropoietin, the hormone of kidney. Then you will find many important terms such as glycogenesis, means glucose is converted to glycogen, whereas glycogen is broken down to glucose, and the process is called glycogenolysis. Understand, glycogenesis is formation of glycogen, and glycogenolysis is breakdown of glycogen to glucose. And glucose can also be formed from some non-carbohydrate source. So non-carbohydrates means suppose proteins or lipids. If they gave rise to glucose, then that process is called gluconeogenesis. Understand these important words. They are all given in this chapter. Don't skip it. Make sure that there is no confusion in these words. Glycogenesis, glycogenolysis, gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis means formation of glucose from some new source. Neo is new. So what new? Non-carbohydrate source such as proteins and lipids. These are the zoology chapters of your 11th standard. Now in 12th standard, the zoology topics include human reproduction, reproductive health. This chapter, human reproduction, is based on the basic morphology and anatomy of the reproductive organs. That way, it is straightforward, but you have to take care of the topic called gametogenesis, very important topic. In gametogenesis, try to study and compare spermatogenesis with oogenesis. Both start with germ cell, which divides by mitosis. And in male, we get spermatogonia, and in female, we get oogonia. This is given even in the textbook diagram. Check whether it is proper, no confusion in this. So here we start with germ cell, which is 2n. And here we end up with spermatogonia. Again 2n, because these are mitotic divisions. And these are oogonia. 2n. They grow and form primary spermatocyte. This grows and it forms secondary spermatocyte. See that there is no confusion in this. Both are 2n. It is also important for you to know which cell is diploid, which cell is haploid. So till now, all cells are 2n. Now, primary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis 1. So we get two equal cells called secondary spermatocytes. Secondary spermatocyte is a result of meiosis 1, so it is haploid. Whereas secondary oocyte, this is oocyte. In the oogenesis, this is oocyte. Secondary oocyte undergoes meiosis 1, and it results in the formation of two unequal cells, a larger cell and a smaller cell. The smaller cell is polar body, and larger cell is secondary oocyte. So they are also haploid. And then the secondary spermatocytes undergo meiosis 2. Now there is no problem. Here also meiosis 2. Again, two unequal cells, a larger cell and a smaller cell. Larger cell is a mature oocyte, whereas these cells are spermatids. And there is one more process called spermiogenesis, where the tail develops, and now we call it spermatozoa. Very important topic. Calculation-based questions can also be asked on spermatogenesis, that is gametogenesis in males, and oogenesis, which is gametogenesis in female. This process of spermiogenesis is the process of differentiation. This is the process of differentiation, also called metamorphosis. Metamorphosis, because there is a structural change in the spermatids. This cell is spermatid. and these are spermatozoa. There should be no confusion in gametogenesis. Have a look. Another important topic from human reproduction is menstrual cycle and the role of hormones in menstrual cycle. So 4 hormones you have to mention properly in that. The 2 hormones from pituitary gland, the gonadotropins, FSH and LH, and 2 hormones from ovary, estrogen and progesterone. Role of 4 hormones, very important to understand. LH is maximum on 14 day. Maximum level of LH on day number 14 causes ovulation. Ovulation occurs on day 14 in first part of the menstrual cycle, the menstruation phase. All hormones are less. Second phase of menstrual cycle, follicular phase. Here the FSH, LH gradually increase. Estrogen also gradually increases. Ovulation occurs on day 14, that is ovulatory phase. And fourth phase is secretory phase or luteal phase, where progesterone dominates. You can see this. This is general synopsis for reproduction. And what I explained was this. Where this is mitosis, the multiplication phase. This is growth phase when the spermatogonia become primary spermatocyte. There is growth. Then meiosis 1, meiosis 2. And this is spermiogenesis to get the sperms. Whereas in females, you see the meiosis is unequal. A large and a small cell. A large and a small cell. Have a look. Important. These are the changes that occur in the menstrual cycle. You can have a look at this. These are the days of the 4 phases, the duration in days, what kind of hormonal changes observed here, what kind of changes in ovaries, and what kind of changes in uterus. And you can see some questions also can be asked. If there are 1000 spermatozoa formed, how many primary spermatocytes must have been used? Each primary spermatocyte will give 4 sperms. So for the formation of 1000 spermatozoa, it is going to be 250. And next is in triplet formation. Triplet. How many minimum and maximum ova can be used? Now, a twin can be a monozygotic twin or a dizygotic twin. Monozygotic means formed from a single zygote, and one zygote is formed from one sperm, one ovum. But sometimes twin can be dizygotic. Now, if it is a multiple birth, 3 birth, it's possible that identical triplets are monozygotic, means all 3 will be look-alike. Hence, one ovum is used. Whereas non-identical triplets means quite possible that one is dizygotic and one is monozygotic. So in that case, 2 or 3 ova can be used. Also, how many spermatozoa are produced from 12 secondary spermatocytes? So if you start from secondary spermatocytes, obviously you will get double the number. If you start from primary spermatocyte, you get 4 times, 4 into 4. But from secondary spermatocytes we start, so it is double the number, that is 24 spermatozoa. So yes, illustration based question, calculation based questions can also be asked in this. These are the important things in reproductive health, the abbreviations. Throughout the chapter, you will find multiple abbreviations. Make sure that you know all these abbreviations, and most of them are given. Okay, but then full form of LNG is not given. This is only for reference. Levonorgestrel is LNG. Other full forms are given. This is important. The timeline for the population size. This is also given in textbook. Make sure that you do it properly. Then natural contraceptive methods, barrier methods, the non-medicated IUDs, copper releasing, all examples. Very frequently questions are asked on this. Then contraceptive pills, 21-day pill, 1/7-week pill, emergency contraceptives, implants, surgical methods, vasectomy, tubectomy, STDs, amniocentesis, all such important terminologies are given, topics are given. The chapter is very small, but you have to make sure that you need to remember all these. Evolution, again a very important chapter. This timeline is important. Not given that way exactly in the textbook, but to understand it, we have done it this way. The 6 eras. You always have to read the geological time scale from the bottom of the table upward. Don't read like this. You will have to read it from the bottom of the table upward. So first era Azoic, second era Archezoic, third Proterozoic, fourth Paleozoic, fifth Mesozoic, and sixth Cenozoic. Then these are the periods. 6 periods of Paleozoics, 3 periods of Mesozoic, 2 periods of Cenozoic. And these numbers are approximate numbers based on the information available in geological time scale. Some predominant variety of life is mentioned in this. Eras are divisible into periods, periods into epochs. These two diagrams very important. Correct interpretation is required that Coelophyton is a common ancestor of horsetail, fern, ginkgos, conifer, natales, and progymnosperms. You see common origin. This is also the example of divergent evolution. Then it can be asked, who is the ancestor of Coelophyton? Answer is Rhynia type plants. Who is the ancestor? Who is the common ancestor of Zosterophyllum and Rhynia type of plants? Answer will be Tracheophyte ancestors. Zosterophyllum led to lycopods. Which lycopods are living today? Only herbaceous lycopods are living today. Arborescent lycopods have become extinct. When did they become extinct? They become extinct at the end of Permian. Seed ferns. When did seed fern become extinct? Answer, they extinct in Permian. When did they dominate? Seed ferns dominated the earth in the middle of Carboniferous and Permian. Please check. When did horsetail dominate? They dominated in Carboniferous period. Who is dominating in the current era, current period? Answer is angiosperms. You see, thickness indicates dominance. So right now, at this moment, the plants which are dominating the earth are angiosperms. But once upon a time, conifers dominated, seed fur dominated, progymnosperm dominated. Please understand this diagram very carefully. And the same is applicable to the other diagram as well. You can see the bird and the dinosaur had a common ancestry. Dinosaur and crocodile had a common ancestry. Please see. One line evolved into crocodile, other evolved into dinosaur, and one of the lines of dinosaur evolved into birds. You will see birds are more close to the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are more close to the birds as compared to the primitive reptiles. Very primitive reptiles are living today are turtles, lizards, etc. Early reptiles evolved into synapsids and sauropsids. So sauropsids evolved into reptiles and birds, whereas synapsids evolved into pelycosaurs, theropsids, and directly mammals. Do both the diagrams very carefully. Check the differences in convergent and divergent evolution. Confusion arises here. Convergent evolution means unrelated species adapt in a similar way. And divergent evolution means related species adapt in a different way. It's a difference. Divergent evolution, related organisms adapt in different way. This will lead to homologous organs. Whereas here, unrelated organisms share a common character. For example, wings of birds and wings of insects will come in convergent evolution. Adaptive radiation is very close to divergent evolution, although they are not same. Adaptive radiation occurs at the smaller level, microevolution, whereas divergent will occur on the larger scale. The adapter is present in their own habitat, whereas the adapter enters into new environment. The best example of adaptive radiation will be Australian marsupials. Okay. Illustrations on evolution will be based on Hardy-Weinberg's equilibrium. See this. Very important. If the formula is P plus Q is equal to 1, this is called allele frequency. But if the formula is P plus Q square is equal to 1, then this is genotype frequency. Important, please understand. If you have to calculate allele frequency, it will be P plus Q is equal to 1. But if you have to find out genotype frequency, then it is P plus Q the whole square is equal to 1. Now, P plus Q the whole square means P square plus 2PQ plus Q square is equal to 1. Where P square is homozygous dominant, 2PQ is heterozygous, and Q square is homozygous recessive. If P is given as 0.3, Q has to be 0.7. Then substitute the values here. 0.3 square plus 2 into 0.3 into 0.7 plus 0.7 square is equal to 1. Something like this. Very simple calculations. These are. In first illustration, different value is taken. It is 0.2 and 0.8. Frequency of recessive allele is given as 0.2, means Q is given as 0.2. So P has to be 0.1, P has to be 0.8. And then substitute 0.2 and 0.8 in this formula. You get this 0.64 is capital T, 0.32 capital T, small t, and 0.04 small t. Have a look. Some other example, but on the similar ideas. So calculation based questions can be asked. on Hardy-Weinberg's equilibrium. Formula remains as it is. P plus Q is equal to 1 if it is allele frequency, and P plus Q the whole square is equal to 1 if it is genotype frequency. You see, genotypes exist in pair. As genotypes are found in pairs, we take square. Why to take square? Here, if you have to calculate allele frequency, use this formula. If you have to calculate homozygous, heterozygous, homozygous dominant, heterozygous, and homozygous recessive, if that you have to find out, use this formula. And then the next zoology topic is human health and disease. Now, in this, you can check the examples: common human diseases, protozoan, helminth, bacterial, viral, and fungal. The other types of diseases: microbial, viral, bacterial, fungal, protozoan. Helminth means worms. Endemic, confined to a particular place. Pandemic, throughout the world. Neurological, affecting nervous system. Neoplastic, cancer. Traumatic, injury. Check this very carefully. Division of diseases. Congenital means since birth. Acquired, after birth. Congenital can be physical birth defect or genetic abnormality. Acquired can be communicable and non-communicable. Communicable if they spread by casual touch, contagious, and if they spread by vector, not by touch, then we call it non-contagious. You can see this chart is based on the diseases that are given in our textbook. Have a look. The name of the disease is here. The causative pathogen. Pathogen means disease causing organism. Mode of transmission, how the disease is transmitted, and the symptoms. Everything is given in textbook. So here it is given in the table form. This diagram is again applicable to malarial parasite life cycle. This is new, so pay attention here. Chikungunya and dengue. This is mentioned in the textbook, although details are not given in the textbook. You can use the points given, seen on the screen for details that both are viral, both are vector borne. Even the vector is same, Aedes mosquito. Incubation period is more or less similar. Symptoms are again, see, abrupt onset of fever, joint swelling, muscle pain, headache, nausea, fatigue, rash. Whereas in dengue, it is high fever, severe headache, pain behind the eyes, something unique. Additional symptoms, occasional severe cases show eye, heart, and neurological complications. Here, severe abdominal pain, persistent vomiting. Vomiting does not stop. Then diagnosis, both are diagnosed by RT-PCR, reverse transcriptase PCR, because the virus is RNA virus. As it is retrovirus, we have to use reverse transcriptase PCR. No specific treatment, as it is a viral infection. But analgesic means painkiller, and antipyretic means fever reliever drugs may be given. Prevention, mosquito control is needed for controlling the diseases such as chikungunya and dengue. Then these are various types of antibodies. Antibody D is not mentioned in the textbook. However, these are all given. Blood group, antigen, antibody, check. Whichever antigen is present on the RBC, the person will have same blood group. So A antigen present, A blood group. B antigen present, B blood group. Both antigens A and B present, AB blood group. only, A and B both are absent, then it is O blood group. RH present, RH positive, RH absent, RH negative. Antigen antibody of same type interact. Important. Antigen antibody of the same type interact. So that's why whosoever has antigen A on the RBC has antibody B in the plasma. It's opposite. When both antigens A and B are present, both antibodies will be absent in the plasma. When both antigens A and B are absent on the RBC, both antibodies will be present in the plasma. This concept is also very important and you need to know it. And then the barriers are given. The physical barrier in the form of skin and mucous membrane, physiological barrier, body fluids, cellular barrier in the form of the killer cells or the cells which destroy the pathogens, and cytokine barriers, interferons. Autoimmune disease is when our immune system starts describing, start causing damage to our own body parts. When our immune system starts damaging our own body parts, then we call it autoimmune disease. And yes, third part of this chapter is on drugs. These are the drugs, their examples, their source, and their effect. Have a look. Taken from the textbook only. Nothing is from outside in this table. So make sure that you know all the functions, source, examples, etc. Also, the common names used. Heroin is called smack, and chemically, heroin is diacetylmorphine. Marijuana, hashish, charas, and ganja, cocaine, coke or crack. Erythroxylum coca is the plant from which we extract. Cannabis sativa is a plant from which we extract cannabinoids. Hallucinogens obtained from atropa, belladonna, and datura. These are given in family Solanaceae. Morphology of flowering plants. Have a look. And Nicotiana tabacum yields nicotine. Amphetamines are stimulants. They are Superman drug. Also, you will go through the exemplar MCQs given at the end. Exemplar questions and their answer key is available on the website of NCERT. Please note. On this website, the exemplar questions as well as answer key for exemplar questions are given. So as I said, not just whatever MCQs you practiced. Once you check the exercise and exemplar and make sure that the answers are known to you and revise it that way. You are aware by now that biology can be equally tricky. And if it is a statement-based question paper, then it will be time-consuming as well. You have to manage the time very cleverly in the final NEET exam. Now, as extra questions are not there, you will not have extra time as well. 3 hours will be available to solve all PCB questions. So, whatever you were following till now to manage the time, follow in the same manner. Biology, normally we attempt in the beginning so that we get more time for physics and chemistry. But be careful, if the questions are statement based, they will take more time, and then accordingly you will have to manage your time. Calculation based questions are asked. Do sufficient rough work. Don't try to jump onto the conclusion and answers immediately. Rough work space is provided. Do your rough work, confirm the answer, and then only go ahead with the next question. And avoid silly mistakes. Sometimes the questions can be deceptive. So if the questions are deceptive, obviously it will, from the superficial view, the questions will appear simple, but they are not like that. It is always better to put it on the paper, do it on the paper, solve, and then eventually confirm what is the correct option. Okay? All kinds of questions have been asked, and every time they frame some new questions. So prepare for match the columns, prepare fill in the blanks. Then if it is a particular event, then the event sequence is asked. List of examples, many type of questions are asked. You can see some of the questions in this. This also we discussed, this type of questions. You see, identify the correct sequence of working of FSH. Sequence is asked. So to find out the correct sequence, identify the correct sequence. See, these are the types of questions that can be asked. From outside to inside, or sometimes from inside to outside, sequence can be asked. Assertion reason, very important and tricky. You need to be very careful when you solve assertion and reason. Match the column like this. Okay, as I said, superficially they look easy. They may take your time because you have to mark it properly. A simple letter or number are ignored, then you may go wrong. See again, match the column type of questions. Then this will take more time because you have to read all statements and then find out which are correct, which are incorrect. Such questions will be time consuming. So check. This is direct, however. This can be again time consuming. Where there are multiple possibilities, you have to be very careful because answers can be very close to each other. You can see calculation based questions. This you will do in botany, but then such questions will take some time. So wherever there is direct question, you can mark and go ahead. But otherwise, you have to spend time. This should be simple. Check again. This again will take more time. So to be very careful, you have to spend time for such questions. Okay, check. These are some sample questions. Again, you can see the sequence over here. Assertion, reason. Diagram based questions. Again, match the columns. And you can see again match the column questions. Can you see it here? So you will have to spend some time for such questions. Don't be in a hurry and do it on paper, on the rough work, and then only confirm, specifically if it is a statement based question. Okay. So as far as zoology topics are concerned, we will end here, and you will have one more round for botany doubts as well, botany preparation as well. I hope this will be helpful to you. Okay, all the best.